Enterprise mobility driving digital transformation. That's our topic for today on this online summit here at Pepperl+Fuchs. And now it's time for our networking lunch, and this is the opportunity for you, dear guests, to ask questions. So just use the live chat. If there are any questions, don't hesitate, and we'll pass them on to our experts on stage. And here they are, Marco Kuhn, Rolf Wessels, and Jörg Hartleb. We've already seen your keynote and your presentation today at the live lounge. Now just give us a quick introduction of yourself.
Yeah, my name is Marco Kuhn, and I'm the technical lead for our EDS portal and the product manager for the digital products and services range.
Thanks, Rolf.
Yeah, my name is Rolf Wessels. My background is R&D. I'm in my 25th year with the Pepperl+Fuchs group, and since beginning of 2017, when Ecom was acquired by Pepperl+Fuchs, I'm the managing director of Ecom Instruments.
Yeah, I'm Jörg Hartleb, Chief Operating Officer at Ecom Instruments. I'm quite an old Ecom horse. I'm 14 years with Ecom now. After quite a while in operations, I'm now back in product management, which I enjoy a lot.
And as I said, we had the keynote today from Rolf and your presentation, and I guess there are lots of questions, and I made some bullet points for me as well to have a sort of guideline and certain questions. For example, one question might be, as you were talking about digital services and why customers need portal like EDS.
Very interesting question, and of course one of the important ones. A couple of years ago, Google has recognized that enterprises have completely different needs than private users has, and therefore they have started a program formerly known as Android for Work. Nowadays it's called Android Enterprise, and this means below of the let's say settings menu, what you know as a regular user, there are hundreds of software switches and parameters, and without such a portal, without such a mobile device management system, a company cannot access such parameters which are important for them, like VPN tunnel enabling or geofencing, whatever use case we have. I think we only have 1 hour, so it's maybe.
But even though if we need that 1 hour, no problem at all. If you have further questions, just ask them, and we'll answer them afterwards. We'll pass them on, of course, after the question.
Marco once told me he stopped at 3,500 features or so, and then he just stopped counting because it's just so much what you can do with it. And at the end, we thought, okay, MDM systems are a pretty common technology meanwhile. And we thought, hey, how can we make use of this technology? And then Marco came up with the idea of staging. We are doing this for quite a while. We are doing this manually for quite a couple of years.
Yes.
But we think, hey, with these big projects around digitalization, we thought, hey, this is going to be a no-go for us. And this is exactly where the platform comes into play. We can make use of this technology to provide staging services and much, much, much more.
Indeed, and for the, let's say, manual CSL we have offered before without such a portal, we have shipped to our production guys hundreds of slides and working instructions with screenshots where they have to click and all of this, and this is now more reliable and an automized solution. So whenever you turn on a phone which was uploaded to one of these services, this device comes back even when it was factory resetted with the profiles or the setup a customer even has designed for.
Okay, talking of Android Enterprise, could you just describe this shortly?
Yes. When using an Android mobile operating system, you have the choice between an open Android or with a GMS approval, which means Google Managed Services approval. And on top of this, which is also available for consumer devices, you can certify your hardware or your complete program also for Android Enterprise, or even, I think Jörg, you have introduced it. Our hardware is even Android Enterprise recommended certified, which means every 3 months security updates, once a year an operating system update, 3 or 5 years,
5 years minimum
guarantee that this platform or this mobile device is available. And this is a major point for our customers. So not only like consumer devices, one shot in the production, one operating system, and that's it. No, with our products and while joining in that Android Enterprise recommended program, you have our customers have the knowledge that this product is available in a safe and secure way for a long-lasting period.
And of course, our customers can be sure that these devices have been tested and that they are 100% compatible with their systems they are running already, like their enterprise mobility management systems. So this program ensures 100% compatibility.
Yes.
And this is another very, very important aspect when we are talking about Android Enterprise.
Yes, and this is also a good point for us. We believe that making a proprietary solution or a closed system is nowadays not the perfect choice for customers. They want to be open for maybe other operating systems as well, not on our hardware, but inside our portal we can handle several operating systems. We can manage even iPhones or Linux systems or Windows Mobile, so it doesn't matter. But interoperability or being open for such thing is a must-have.
Yeah, it's a must-have, and it's a
Yes.
huge field, as we already
Yes.
know. I mean, it's not the known core of Pepperl+Fuchs, but what has been the motivation to invest in and to offer such devices and services?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think, as my colleagues already explained nicely, the complexity of these of this topic and of the products we're dealing with here. I think there are multiple reasons, and one is simply that we see a trend in the industry, a general trend towards a one-stop shop solution. Yeah? The customer doesn't just want to buy a piece of hardware and then from one supplier and then basically is burdened with the tasks to, well, set up the device, configure it, maintain it, make sure that it always has the latest security packages on it, or maybe hire another supplier, another company to do that. They rather want all this ideally from one single supplier. And that's not always the case, but we see clearly a trend towards that direction. And that's why we clearly said, okay, in order to let's say, round out our portfolio, that's certainly something we need to add and we need to provide. Also, as Jörg already explained, it's nothing really completely new to us. To a certain degree, we have done that. Ecom has done this for several years already, but in a very, let's say, not very convenient, cumbersome way. Cumbersome for ourselves, but even more importantly, also cumbersome for the customers. And what we are now doing with this portal and the digital services is really to provide a very convenient way of getting access to these services.
When speaking of customers, how do such technologies change workspace and workplace?
Yeah, I mean, what we see, I take over. I mean, currently with the COVID-19 situation, mobility and with people traveling across the globe is a little bit limited nowadays, but this also offers new opportunities for us, of course. What we see, and this is how these things come together at the end, workplace and workspace, this can't be segregated anymore. If you are on the job, in the field, you want to have access to the same set of data as within your office space. That's extremely important to have this available. And you need the tools and the infrastructure that the data can be accessible and can be presented in the way that it is helpful for you. And if we are looking at the current situation with reduced traveling, we see that remote expert applications become more and more important. So you need devices which allows a remote expert to assist you in the job you're doing. You want to have real-time information from the field. And this is exactly what it is about, reducing complexity for the end users, enhancing their efficiency, taking out any problems, any complexity they have with their job. This is what it is about.
And an example for that use case is many of our devices are closed or reduced in their functions. We call that a kiosk mode. And whenever an update for an application which is accessible inside that kiosk mode needs to be updated, the past situation was that the operator has brought the device to his back office. Somebody from the management or back office has installed an update, and then he could start working again with his newest software. But with such remote control, the operator, there's no need to bring back the device to the office. He can get all his information online or remote or whatever. So the complete mobile device can be managed by somebody else, by his supervisor.
Maybe get back to your question there. If you look at the typical workplace in an industrial environment, let's say 10, 15 years ago, well, it's, as long as it's an office workplace, it certainly had a desktop PC or something, a big screen, the usual stuff. And what we see now is that with the mobile devices, and I guess everybody knows it from his or her own phone, tablet, they are so powerful these days that you actually can use them as a regular desktop PC replacement. Yeah, I mean, whatever you do on your PC in terms of, let's say, office applications or something like that, actually can run on your tablet already. And the only thing you need is you need to hook up a, let's say, keyboard and a monitor, a mouse ideally, and you can basically work with that mobile device in the same way like you work with your or at your desktop PC. But, of course, you can also take it out to the field and do whatever you have to do in the field, and you have your, let's say, quote-unquote, your PC with you, and that alone saves you a lot of time, because whatever you do there in the field, you don't have to then manually enter back in the office into your PC, your database, whatever. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And I think that's a big change. So that also means that the classic office setup, workplace, which we still see in a lot of companies, probably is going to dissolve slowly over the next 5-10 years, where you just, well, as I said in the keynote, we all already became mobile workers in these days, whether we wanted it or not.
Or even maybe faster because of COVID-19, is it a driver?
Yeah, absolutely, I think so. Certainly in midterm, I think there are two effects which are taking place right now. The one is that, of course, everybody is trying to save money, because we are in an economic crisis. But so there's not much room for additional investments. But everybody also sees the need for and the advantages of this technology. So I believe that very quickly the next investments which will be made in any kind of equipment will be certainly more towards mobility than other stuff, because that's where you can then in the long run save a lot of cost.
That's an extremely interesting point, because okay, I don't have a crystal bubble to look at, but you're maybe a little closer to the trends of the future. What might be the next step, and are maybe big players already investigating the next steps? What's your view of the future then?
Yes, so currently everybody talks about augmented reality, of course. So this is probably one of the next big things. However, we see that there is at least one thing which needs to be resolved. It's the human-machine interface. So how do you interact with such a device? Do you want to make big gestures in front of your head, telling the device what it has to do? Voice recognition is probably not the best in each and every situation, especially if you're working in noisy environments.
Why is it?
Because just if you're using a microphone in an extremely noisy environment, this causes additional challenges in terms of noise reduction, background noise suppression, all these kind of things. So I think there will be a mixture between all of those, but that's one of the next big things, and we already see this starting when it comes to smart glasses, these kind of things. So this is for sure something what we see at the horizon, and where people and of course also our customers are investigating in. And we will provide answers to this as well, of course.
You mentioned the crystal ball, and of course I don't have anything else either. It's at the end always the crystal ball we're looking in. But I think the critical question is how quickly does the industry change towards digital processes in a broad sense? Because all what we just mentioned here and talked about requires a certain level of digitalization within the organization. You need digital processes, you need a digital infrastructure in terms of the documentation. If we talk, for example, about service and maintenance, the documentation for your plan, for your devices, all that needs to be available in a digital form and accessible in a digital way. Yeah, so that certainly is a absolute precondition you need to have in order to start to use technologies like what Jörg mentioned.
And you always need a backbone for that. So
yes.
Speaking about digitalization is not about one device or not about 4 devices. You need a centralized system where you can handle, manage the data, and at the end, if you log on such a system, the data should be displayed in the way you currently need it. So information on a 5-inch phone is maybe the content of the information is the same as you read it on your desktop PC with a large monitor, but it should be displayed in a different format or in a different way. You may scroll, or you cannot view everything on one. And our portal is, let's say, one step in advance. We try to, or we offer a possibility for our customers to centralize already their mobile devices, whatever they go, if they manage to make an digitalization of their work loads or working papers.
Absolutely. It's a totally different approach when you're working on site. I mean, if you're at your desktop, you're having possibly 2 monitors in front of you. Then you can scroll through hundreds of lines within your Excel sheet, and you instantly get the point because you've got much space, high resolution, everything. But what if you're on site? So the data has to be presented in a different way. It has to be pre-processed. It has to be stripped down to the information you really need in this very moment. And this is where all of these systems have to interact in a smart way. So the system needs to know, oh, he's currently mobile.
Yes.
He's using this and that device. And the information has to be presented on his graphical user interface in a way that he is able to understand and analyze and make the right conclusions.
Yes, and even for some kind of information, there is no need for a big display. Let's have a look on our smartwatch, as shown in the video you may have seen before. An alarm message or a phone call, or where is your next location for a task to solve. Therefore, such a small display is probably enough. And it's easy accessible. It's much easier to see that information on your wrist than putting out a phone of your pocket.
Yeah. The video Marco just mentioned is very important. So in case you missed it, it's in the live lounge. You can find it on our online summit page afterwards. But let's stay there. You're talking of use cases. What are the most requested applications, for example, and what are use cases right now?
So one of the use cases, this is pretty obvious, is of course push-to-talk, PTT, mission critical push-to-talk. Many of our customers, they are still running analog radio networks for mission critical communication. So you all know these two-way radios, walkie-talkies, but these devices, they only provide limited functionality. It's basically you push a button, you can talk, and that's it. With the world now going digital, things change. You want to have more information, and what do you do now? Carrying around two devices? So there is an answer to it, and this is of course push-to-talk. So these devices, these smartphones, feature phones, tablet computers, they can replace these analog networks by push-to-talk. You just push, you can talk to a group, you can talk to your peer, whatever you want, but you have the benefit of additional information which is being accessible with your smart device. And this is one of the trends we see, and of course the other one is digital procedures.
Yes, yeah. Or we also have an own application. This is another, let's say, big market for us, lone worker protection. So whenever an operator carries out such a smartphone, he can put it somewhere on a belt holder. And when such a lone worker application is running in the background of such a phone, it recognizes different types of movement or no movement, and so recognizes that maybe the worker has some kind of health problems. So the mobile phone then sends over an alarm to a different colleague, or even to a big 24/7 operating office.
Rescue team.
Thanks. Yes, rescue team.
Emergency center.
Search and
whatsoever.
rescue,
Yeah, exactly.
equipped with a helicopter, don't know.
Exactly.
But staying at that, what is the setup for such a lone worker in comparison to a professional one?
We have developed a single app which is running on our device to enhance the features of our device. Let's call it basic lone worker system. But there are indeed from many of our partners existing much more professional solutions where they can open a video chat channel, or when they can automatically unmute the microphone to speak directly, or and all of this. So these are much higher integrated system, and we don't want to go in competition with our partners.
It's again you have to analyze your situation. If you need, if you want to enhance the safety of your people out there, but you don't want to mess around with another system in itself, you're good to go with eSentinel. But if you have the need for a 24/7 emergency center and all these kind of things, then you should go for for a system. That's another trend we see, of course.
Yes. But we have a database where we collect such partners, so whenever a customer has requests for, we are able to link both of them together. And especially for such partners making such solutions, we have also integrated some APIs, even specialized for them, to our phones, so we are in constant contact to technology partners.
Exactly.
That is not working as
Absolutely.
standalone e-com, but it is
Absolutely,
not possible
absolutely,
at all.
because this talks again to our overall strategy and policy. We want to provide open devices, which everyone is able to access and to build his application and to cater to his use case based on our devices. So that's our general strategy and philosophy when we build our devices. So it's not about locking in the customer or the application provider. It's about providing him a device which is open and on which he can build his solution on. So that's...
One more question before I switch to another topic from one of our guests. Are there also indoor lawn worker solutions?
Yes. This is another product from us. We have developed a couple of years ago indoor Bluetooth-based beacons, which can send out room data or something else, or location in a plant of a customer, and our phones can recognize this location information. So in areas where you don't have access to GPS data, this indoor location data can be used also to provide informations where an injured co-worker is currently having troubles.
Right. I have to put on my glasses because it's written really tiny. Question here is, we have 3 different distributed control systems, the DCS, in place. Is it possible to access all 3 DCS in one handheld device or tablet safely?
Who?
Well, we'll have a break.
Yes, can you make a teaser? Can you show a teaser? Yeah.
Short advert?
Yes, let's try it. In principle, this is possible, sure. It's a digital system, and getting access to different systems should be possible. But this has to be clarified in detail on customers.
Maybe I can jump in here. It goes back to what Jörg said. It's an open device. So at the end of the day, you need the proper app, software running on that device, which gives you the access. And so that clearly depends on what's out there, what's there available. Can we help integrating that? Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely.
Sure.
We can. Yeah.
Speaking of software, security before, now let's jump a little into system security. You mentioned in your presentation Android Enterprise recommended verified. What does it exactly mean? Could you tell us more?
Yeah. Android Enterprise Recommended is a certification program from Google. And this certification program talks especially to security updates and further features which a device has to fulfill. There are certain requirements on devices like ours. Our device is certified for explosion hazardous areas, which means the device is extremely rugged per se, probably way more rugged than any other rugged devices on the market, because the testing is just ridiculous. For this category of rugged devices, Google sets certain standards, and on top of this, Google, if you want to go with this program and if you want to certify against this program, you have to make sure that you provide security updates each and every 90 days throughout a period of minimum 5 years, and you have to guarantee minimum a major operating system update. So if you think about your own smartphones, And especially if you think about the Android world, this has been really a problem. So many smartphones you bought throughout the past couple of years, they did get updates for maybe 2 years or so.
Yeah.
But that's an absolute no-go for the industry.
Yes.
Absolute no-go.
For every
Security
professional,
first.
customer.
And this is why we decided, okay, let's challenge ourselves and not just make a pure marketing claim. Let's certify against a program and show, hey, we are committed to this.
Yes, and this is coming more and more important for our customers, speaking about security. And even Google has recognized that security is being more and more important. For example, they scan every day the Play Store for malicious-ware or viruses, and so each app which is uploaded to the Play Store is scanned. Every device which has a mark in the settings menu named Google Play Protect, so even your mobile phone is scanned a day from Google to see if there is any security issue on your device. Mm-hmm. So this is, they have really increased the level of security since the last 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Speaking of security, so we have Android and Samsung Knox, you already mentioned. Maybe for me as a lay person, it's one on the one hand, one on the other hand. Is it that way? Can you explain that more?
Yeah. You have, let's divide Android into 2 separate parts. One is the standard Google Android GMS, and the other one is, of course, Samsung is the biggest player in that area, is Samsung. And Samsung has recognized quite earlier, as Google has recognized, that professional users or enterprise users have completely different needs, and therefore they have started a program named Knox, and this contains or have different sub-services: Knox Mobile Enrollment, Knox Configure, Knox MDM. Even there, a lot of time we can spend there, even a lot of time, and these services are proprietary, available on Samsung devices only, and this is the tricky point where we think being open is quite better, and for our hardware, which is or we have some hardware in our portfolio which is Samsung based, and we can use those proprietary Samsung systems if a customer wants to, but we even take care that these tablets or based on operating system or whatever are also open for other systems, updates, whatever.
Are these the reasons why your tablets, for example, smart watches and so on, are based on Samsung devices?
Well, there are, I guess, numerous reasons, but in essence, Ecom has a already long-lasting relationship with Samsung, which started in 2013, 14, I suppose, roughly.
Something.
And we are working with the team within Samsung. Of course, Samsung is obviously a huge corporation, but we're working with a team which is doing basically the industrial enterprise mobility product line within Samsung. And so that's the ideal starting point, of course, for our devices, which basically add the explosion protection. Yeah, let it be intrinsic safety or flame-proof, whatever the method is. So what we do is we base our product on a proven in use, design proven in use product line, and the Samsung brand is obviously well recognized in the market, and it's simply the fact that a customer who knows if he buys a Samsung device, well, all the applications I want actually do run on that device. There are no issues. There's a certain level of quality support and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, he can participate from that, but we also offer an open system or an, flexible system is maybe too much. But
you told me just recently that Samsung opened the door towards
Yes.
Android Enterprise
Yes.
as well, and this allows, of course,
Yes.
for a more flexible integration of
Absolutely,
these
yes.
these devices.
Yeah.
You can use Samsung Knox, but you don't have to. And again, the Samsung specific features are then not accessible, of course.
Yeah.
So, but that's then at the end up to you, and we are open.
And what I have recognized in the last weeks when speaking to customers, we are not limited. We can say, let's use this Knox technology. Then we have a couple of advantages, but also disadvantages, or we can follow a different route. And at the end, it's a customer decision. So,
Yes.
and this offers a much more. I think we are more and more recognized as a technology partner for our customers. Well, because we can speak about both technologies, but we are not limited to use the one or the other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You were speaking before about the push-to-talk ideas and possibilities. I don't know whether you mentioned it. Then maybe I just missed the phrase, but it's said that they're prone to stability issues. Could you get more into detail about that? Could you get rid of that?
Yeah. Yeah. So when we are talking about stability issues, there are two facets to it. One is, of course, the device itself, where the push-to-talk client runs on. So the device has to be, again, compatible to that client. Some of the clients require a pretty deep software integration, which goes way beyond than just downloading the app from the Play Store. You have to do a lot under the hood. The application has to understand the push buttons, for instance, but this is just the easy part of it. But nevertheless, it requires software integration. So this has to be done. And we have a team which is doing exactly this job, helping the customer to seamlessly integrate these integrations. The other facet is network stability, of course, and here we are talking about quality of service. Quality of service, again, has several facets. It's again about the device and the network and so on and so on, but nevertheless, it's mainly about quality of service of the network. And there, our customers have to bring in the carrier, the network operator, and they have to make wise decisions. Do I want to use a public network with guaranteed bandwidth just in case an emergency is happening? Or do I want to go for a private network? So these are extremely important decisions which have to be done from the infrastructure side of things, and which help for the stability. But you're right, everything starts with a mobile device.
And this decision has to be made at the start of a project, and therefore a company who is supporting a customer or can answer such questions to a customer is becoming more and more important.
We have specialists out in the field which helps you with these kind of decisions. They run through the requirements with you. And they see what can be done, what has to be done on our side, how can our software team help to get the maximum out of our devices. So this is our daily job, and we have the team for this in the background.
Interesting question. I don't know whether the term was used. Access control, was it in your presentation or Rolf?
Was in yours.
Could you tell us more about that?
Yeah, access control is a nice one, because access control is not just swiping and putting in a 6 or 4-digit number. This can be way more. This is Marco's domain. It can be fingerprint sensor, of course. So So, but it can be also combined with like geofencing, so accessing a device depending on where you are. So there is lots of to it, and everything is basically also supported.
I think it's two things: how you access the device, how you get access to
Of
the
course.
device, but it's also actually controlling if somebody or how somebody gets access to a certain, let's say, area or a certain function on the device.
Yeah. Use case example. Geofence. You have used that already.
Yes.
Let's say you have a huge power plant, and our mobile phone is used for work, and the operators do some pictures from faulty devices for documentation. But
For the private documentation?
for the work. And this is also access control. Where are these pictures hosted? Are they sent out to Google, or are they sent back to the customer's system, like EDS portal? But like geofence, and in that power plant, maybe there is a critical area, and this critical area is containing so much intellectual property or knowledge from that company that company says, whenever a worker is entering that area, let's switch off the camera. So even then he's not allowed to make photos even for internal documentation.
Only not allowed to, he even can't.
He can't. He's
can't.
right.
Yes.
Right. He cannot access the camera. And when he's leaving this critical area, the camera is accessible again on the phone.
So certain apps are just blocked.
Yeah,
Right.
depending on where you are.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are.
Yeah.
Another nice question is how many different types of products are available in the digital product and services product range? I think that could fill another hour.
Yeah.
Let's count.
Yeah.
Maybe you just speak briefly about the
Yes.
categories. I
Yes.
think
Yes.
that's-
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Digital products and services can be all and nothing, and we have let's say 4 different types of products. We offer free apps like eFlash, an own camera, and own a Flash application, or eDiagnostics, whatever. Then we have paid apps like talked before, eSentinel, which has to be paid. Then we offer free services, or also paid services. And last not least, we offer software as a service. So we host our portal, our customers can participate too.
Software as a service.
Yeah.
Just go ahead.
Yeah, so it's basically the portal software as a service. There we start with our staging services, with our EMDM services. So this is basically 2 highlights. There is of course a little bit more to it, and the other very important category is all these different tools and applications we offer. Like if you want to move from hopefully you have one. And SmartEX 01, if you want to go to SmartEX 02, we offer a tiny application which you can run on the devices, and it's just porting all of your data with just 1 click.
Yeah.
So all of these kind of things, that's another category, and we are of course enhancing this as we go along.
Yes, and the enhancing this is we are in a good contact with our customers, and whenever they are asking us for new features, we have the hands-on applications, we have hands-on our firmware of our operating system, and we have hands-on on the hardware. Of course, there are limitations even for us, but whenever possible.
That's a third pillar basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
You already mentioned EMDM, and then we have eCSL. What are the differences and the highlights?
Both products are about managing devices, managing mobile devices, but they are both designed for a different user category or use cases. Let's say the EMDM is easier to explain. It's a full-fledged mobile device management system. You said before, 3,000 software parameters. I don't know. I haven't counted all of them. So you can set the last bits, the last byte on such a mobile phone with that system.
But it's not only that, it's also maintaining the device over the
Right.
time of the life cycle.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's the initial setup, and then from there it's maintaining and monitoring the device basically.
Yes.
Or
Asset management,
Even
basically.
App Store, content management,
Yeah.
email management, whatever. So this is the high-end product solution. But in early stage, we have recognized that this is often too much for some customers. They don't want to invest a 3 days training or a 1 day training, or they don't want to spend so much time on that. They only want to use a mobile phone with 2 or 3 applications, that's it. And therefore we have developed a service in advance named ECSL, which allows a customer to log in to our portal, set, just to have a number, 500 software parameters with an easy-to-use user interface. He can set the device up, and whenever an EMEI or serial number is linked to that configuration, the device will get it out of our database and loads.
So that's only the pre-staging of the device.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So much simpler. It's one step out of the big
Yes.
EMDM
Yes, and
offering.
with ECSL, let's say we don't have a back channel. So with EMDM, we always need a back channel, like the previously used example, geofence. We have to know where the device is currently so that we can make some action on it. But with ECSL, it's one-way staging. That's it.
That's it,
Yeah.
and then we cut the wires back
Yes.
to ecom. So
Yeah.
customers don't have to fear that these devices talk home.
Yeah.
What they don't.
Yeah.
So this is absolutely
Delivered,
guaranteed
and
in
that's
this
it.
case.
Yes.
So we just push it
Yeah.
onto the devices and then forget about it.
For example, if a customer orders 100 mobile phones, how long do you need to set up a new mobile phone for
I would need
you?
ages.
Yeah, and if we only say it's about 10 minutes for each mobile phone, we are speaking about 1,000 minutes for 100 mobile phones, and you have to unpack them maybe and ship them to it. So 20 minutes is maybe nothing. 2,000 minutes. 2,000 minutes, help me, is days.
It's long, yeah.
Yeah.
Way too long.
So, and with such a service, you can reduce that to power it up, enable the data connection, and the rest does the device itself. Zero touch, everything loaded.
Speaking of time, we're almost running out of time, unfortunately. But there are more questions from the chat, and hopefully we can answer them all. So, just in the round, will remote experts and support become standard and basic in industry? How will this change daily routines? And addition to that, what kind of your solutions pay in? Lots of questions.
Yeah, lots of questions. And again, well, there's the crystal ball again. So short answer is I strongly believe, yes, it will happen, and it will, the whole thing of how we do maintenance and service in the field will change over the course of the next years. It's only a question how fast it will change. Yeah? And I think it goes back to what I said earlier, how fast or how quickly do companies see the benefit of this, that you don't need to have an expert for everything everywhere in the world, wherever you have a location, wherever you need to do service and maintenance, but you just might need somebody who can go out there and knows roughly what he does, and then you equip him with a mobile device, and he will get the remote service from maybe one location in the world which supports this type of service. And so it's only a question how quickly companies will adapt to that, how quickly they are willing to change their procedures. As I said, you need to you need a infrastructure, a backbone infrastructure, basically to support this system. You need the digitalization of the documentation of your factory, basically. And so I can't say that will take 1 or 2 or 5 years, yeah, but I, again, certainly believe that the actual times we are going through right now will speed up that process significantly.
Yes, the mindset
Yeah.
on customer side.
We see that actually
Yeah.
already where we talk to some of our partners which are already deeply in that business. They see a significant increase in use cases now, which is not a surprise, yeah, because people can't travel anymore, but you still have the plants running, so you need the support. Yeah.
There's another interesting question concerning your approaches. How's the company thinking to reduce the human error in the cybersecurity aspect? The devices might be safe, but we're
Cutting
still...
off the internet.
Yeah. That's an extremely complex one.
Yeah.
I think first step is, even though it sounds strange, you have to take a step back first and have to make a risk analysis of the use case, of the overall environment where you want to operate such a device in. That's the first step, I think. Then you have to think about the systems. Are my systems secure? Because it's not just only about the mobile device, even though the mobile device is a potential door for security issues. But you have to think about the overall system. And there the overall IT security comes into play. I'm talking like about ISO 27001, all these kind of things. And then we come to the use case itself, where our devices are being used. There you have to question yourself, okay, what wireless connections do I want to use? Do I want to keep everything on premise? Do I want to use public networks? How do I make sure that my team is only accessing secure data? And then it comes back again to how do I set the overall system up? And this is again where MDM systems come into play. They can direct the information stream from the outside into the device and from the device back to the system.
Yeah.
And you can also make sure that only checked software is ending up on the device, software which has been security tested. And here we are talking about a overall process management for IT security. It's not about just pushing security updates on the device. You have to look at this from a global perspective. And when I say global perspective, it means your company. This is what you have to look at. And then everything comes together and builds a very, very robust and secure infrastructure, including the devices.
Maybe looking only at the mobile devices, especially the EMDM system has a function included named compliance jobs. So there we can regularly monitor the device. Is for example, that's easy to understand, rooted, or is some third-party hardware installed? Has somebody used a different mobile data connection? So we can monitor these devices on a daily usage. But this has to be part of a global picture from the customer or company.
Exactly. This is much about organization.
Yeah.
All right. There's one more last question, by the way. The previous one was from Albania. This one is from China. And I think it's the last question to answer now in our networking lounge. What technologies could be used for scanning and auto identification? How do they differ?
We have made a good decision on, especially on our Smarty XO2. We have, for Auto ID, we have a near-field communication chip on board, so we can read some ISO certified RFID transponders, and we can use the integrated camera to act as a barcode reader. We have an own solution for that, but we are also open when customers integrate such functions into their apps. So we can read barcodes and RFID chips on our hardware.
Yeah, and on top of this, you can use this also as a data hub. You can also connect an external scanner to it, like ours, like our Identex, and then this device just serves as the data hub. You have a very fast scanner available. If you have to do mass scanning, then you just use the peripheral. If you just have to identify a field device, then the internal camera is very good for this job, and you could then even use our e-barcode solution for that.
I think we have lots of questions answered today in this networking launch. Gentlemen, thanks a lot, Jörg, Rolf, and Marco. And we'll be back in the afternoon today. But otherwise, if you have any further questions, dear guests, just ask and we'll pass them, of course, on to our experts here. Maybe we'll answer them later in our lounge. Otherwise, we'll be back for you tomorrow at 8:30 again. But as I said today, we have our second session at 2:30 p.m. German time. So thanks a lot for watching and see you soon.